Welcome to the Freeman Report, brought to you by Patriot Shit Outfitters, www.patriotshit.com. Use promo code TFMR2022 at checkout and get 10% off anything in the store, as well as helping out the Freeman Report. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. If I don't get my tongue tied up, much appreciated. We're gonna let this music kind of play for a second, let everybody file in, and then we'll be starting the broadcast. So we're just gonna let everybody file in here for a second, and then we'll start. Introducing the one, the only, Jeremy Deeter.
Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. I want to say hi to Therapy Range, Callie Cosmo, Lori Chipman, Jessica Rudder. Appreciate everybody being here. And if you get a chance to go to Therapy Range here on YouTube, check them out there.
Yep. Yeah, I also want to say check out Therapy Range. Give them a like, give them a subscribe, follow. That's the same guy that's running the Patriot Shit Outfitters. He's a great guy. He's doing us a big help, big service. Helps share us out, and he does a lot of work on the side for Patriots. So yeah, give him some love, give him some support. And if you're supporting him and you're giving him love, you're giving us some love, pretty much in the same vein, because he's the guy that helps us promote this. He's a sponsor, and he puts out some damn good content. I've actually watched a couple videos and got stuck watching that. It's kind of like Demolition Range and Grantham and stuff like that. He's got a lot of good stuff going on, so check him out.
Yeah, give him a look-see. Joe Axe, Calvin, Eli Robinson, the Patriot Apologist. How are you, honey? And then Therapy Range said, oh, shucks. Yeah, give that guy a look-see. We want to talk about the convoy tonight, but for the people who are watching this that are new to the channel and are just now showing up, myself and this esteemed gentleman here with me, Thomas, we are two of the people that have been indirectly tied and implicated both with the Michigan case, where the FBI plotted to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and have subsequently locked up some of our friends. We've done our best to keep everybody abreast of that case and keep everybody in the loop as to what's going on. And we also have other content that we also want to cover here. And unfortunately, a lot of our subject matter, it all ties in together, whether we're talking about the betrayal of the federal government concerning this Michigan case, or the betrayal of the federal government concerning January 6th, or 1,000 cases before then, before either of those two, to show and substantiate where our federal government has been more than overreaching. They've turned out to be belligerent. And that's a term that Thomas uses that I like to steal. They are inept and inadequate to the task. They've shown time and time again that they have either an inability, a complete and total inability, or no interest in, or they are complicit in making sure that we are not safe, whether it's 9/11, whether it's our digital grid, our electric grid, China just now attacked our digital infrastructure again and went after our national defense. So they've shown that they're either unwilling or unable to, or are part and parcel to the harm that they either can't prevent or are part of. That's something that we definitely espouse on this show, because there's no one saying it. There's not enough people saying it. You are starting to get some talking heads who are starting to sound like the Patriot movement 10 years ago, that have notoriety. And finally, I guess after a decade of our events in, Texas, Alabama, Arizona, Ohio, Wisconsin, New Mexico, everywhere, over a decade, I know, but let's just say for the last decade, all of these Patriot events where we're saying, look, this is tyranny. This isn't constitutional. This cannot be ignored. Now we're seeing conservative, so-called conservative voices, Dan Bongino, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson. We're seeing them catch up to what the Patriot movement was saying years ago. And that's good. That's good. We need that. However, because of this case, the federal government and all of its agencies, as well as judges and prosecutors and PIs and everything else, pay attention to this show. So if you're here, you need to know that. You need to know that while you're watching us, they're watching you. And so take advantage of the chat room. And you're paying the tax dollars for them to put you under surveillance. So if you're in the chat room, let the FBI, the Department of Justice, these judges, whoever it is, let them know how you feel about their presence here. Maybe you want to say something nice. Maybe you want to share cooking recipes. Maybe you have something else to say, but know that you're free to do so here within the confines of whatever, YouTube allows, I guess. We've seen this convoy in Michigan. It's tied directly to freedom. This is what the Patriots have been espousing is problematic for America for the better part of 15 years, very loudly, very proudly. And the convoys in Canada showed that, once again, first world governments are running on a globalist agenda. They have no plan, and they don't care about, what's going on with you. They have no interest. They're here to control you. They're here to make sure that you do what they need you to, which is, keep the wheels churning, keep playing the game. And now we see, and this is my personal take, I'll pay attention in the chat, see how many of you feel the same way I do. But this convoy in DC, for 15 years, they've seen the Patriots and the militia and the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and all these different groups that have had police come up to them, where every time and time again, the Patriots are like, listen, dude, you took an oath. You're on the wrong side here. We are not the bad guys. What are you doing? Da 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 da. We have supported you guys when nobody else did. And when the television told us not to, and we've seen this betrayal of the American people. We've watched it happen. And the truck drivers have also been part of all of these rallies. They've been part of who has been yelled at by the police. And they've yelled back and said, what are you doing? These aren't terrorists. These are regular people. What are you doing? And they've seen what happened in Canada, which is known as the most friendly freaking first world country on planet El Dirte. Just culturally, they're very compassionate, humble, and polite. And the truck drivers are still going, knowing that the National Guard has been called and dispatched to be down there. They're still going. They know that if you look at this mathematically, the higher chances are that they are going to have to face brutality, that they stand to lose their trucks, therefore their jobs, therefore their freedom. They're going to incur all kinds of financial debt. So I want you guys to think about that, regardless of the politics, whether you think this leads to martial law or whatnot, or even if you think that this is being led by agent provocateurs, it wouldn't matter, because 99% of the participants believe in the cause. Even if you think that it's going to, shut us down almost entirely, if not completely, as far as food, toilet paper, things like that. Think about the action of this 99% of these truck drivers that they know that they stand to do this to lose. And I just wonder where that puts people psychologically, emotionally. I'll hand it back over to you, man.
No, I agree 100%. I was just doing some stuff in the background here. I do want to address something that was said in the chat. Let's get it out of the way because it's an issue that we're not specifically here to talk about tonight. But Ukraine, if you want to know our thoughts, at least I can speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for Jeremy, but my thought, and I would suspect Jeremy's probably thinking along the same lines, is we don't need to be in Ukraine. I know there's a lot of reasons that we probably should be in Ukraine, but at this time, we need to be at home. We need our soldiers at home. We need our people at home. We do not need to get involved in any more foreign wars. What we need is Joe Biden to open up the XL pipeline. What we need is Joe Biden to allow us to start manufacturing things in America again so that we're not dependent on foreign powers. We need to be energy independent. We need to just be independent, period. And I would never send our guys out, especially in the name of a government that's currently trying to destroy us from the inside. We don't need to be in Ukraine. Let Russia do what Russia's going to do. But we need to fix our country from the inside so that we can fight them on the outside.
Yeah, I think any of the problems that we have are going to have to go on a list of things, right? So just to throw out a few things. Stop the program that has people flying and dropping chemicals over the U.S. Get the poison out of our food. Stop calling alchemy a pharmaceutical industry that should not have ever been put in charge of our medicine in the first place. If you want to have holistic medicine, that should be your choice. There should be holistic doctors and that your insurance should cover it, period, end of story. If they bring in Eastern medicine, if they bring in, Basque people medicine, whatever it is, we should have, institutions established, or be free to establish those institutions and it be called medicine by our choice. Everything is so overregulated. Everything is so overdone. And if we want these things to be better, if we look at, all of these things, this list, everything starts with dealing with the traitors and enemies that we have at home. We're not going to be able to get these things to good. It's okay. It's this argument, the same thing, the argument of we need to clean up the police. Well, the police and that whole institution works in tandem with two other institutions, the judicial system and the prison industrial complex. So if you fix one of those things and the other two remain the way that they are, this here that you just fixed, the only way that it can function is if it gets rebroken. So it's the same thing here. If you want to fix any other problems that you have, we have to cut the head off the snake. And our priority problem, our priority enemy is this criminal enemy body of traitorous governance that is no more than globalists shrouded as Americans. They may have been born here, but they're no more American than Yamamoto. And they also feel about the same way as America as Yamamoto. So this isn't, something that we need to buy into any further. Hatchet Man said that the left is really good at getting us to harm ourselves, and they have been. And now they're losing that grip of control. Now they're losing the all their viewership on television, all of their support that they've had in the political action committees. They're relying on, believe it or not, places like the National Rifle Association that funds, or at least it used to, Planned Parenthood, and they found out through like some shady dealings. The union dues that people pay that fund Planned Parenthood. Well, Planned Parenthood helps to also, they in turn pay, Democrat candidates, and endorse them. So they still have a money machine, but they've lost support. They've lost the people. I believe that what we're seeing now, this evolution where the truck drivers have seen, the American truck drivers, the Canadian truck drivers, everyone around the world have seen that the patriots have tried and tried and tried for 15 years, the better part of 15 years, to really become something in this nation, to really structuralize and organize something. And every time you hear the murmurs of such a thing, you hear about cops infiltrated and so went to jail, and everybody knows it's ridiculous charges. Look at the Bundys, look at what happened in Vegas, and they get the charges dismissed after sitting in jail for 2 years, not being around their children, not being around their wives, and oh, I'm sorry, my bad, it was, yeah, the FBI was actually criminal, and that shouldn't have happened. Go ahead and go home now, because you fought it, because you had the money, because you had the time, because you could find the support, where most people are not going to have those things, and they know that, and they take advantage of it. We're tired of the tables being tilted, and that's why the truck drivers are going down there. We're tired of the dice are loaded. We're tired of this. We're tired of the disproportionality and nothing being honest. That we're held to an honest standard, but no one and no corporation, no politician around us are. They make up the rules as they go, and we're sick of it. The truck drivers represent all of that. They represent watching a patriot community try and be bastardized, chastised, berated, defamed, made to be, evil domestic terrorists, white supremacists, and we know that the FBI watches this. We know that the Department of Justice is here. Actually, the prosecution and defense private investigators both are under obligation to continue to watch this every Friday, which is hilarious. Mostly the prosecution. They're here, they're watching, they're listening, they're paying attention. And think about that. Everyone knows we're not terrorists, and yet here they are, with under a lot of your taxpayer wealth, paying attention to what average people are doing when they're simply talking about the maniacal nature of their own sitting body of governance. That we are such a threat to these people that not only do they micromanage down to the individual social media account, right, so that our narrative doesn't go out very well at all, but they have made sure that we have no national voice, no national presence, that we're so distrusting of one another, and that we can't come together, right? That's what they believe, which are wrong. But they believe, and that's been their job from the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, they failed. They've absolutely failed. You're still here. We are still here. And what Americans, middle class, blue collar, everyday Americans are learning is that, yes, the police are going to be there. Different types of federal agencies are going to be there. They're going to send their detectives. They're going to have them in plain clothes. You want to know why? Because they're scared to death that we may actually get this nation back. They have no choice but to send traitors. They have no choice but to send people who would put us under monitorization, where they monitor us, and they're making sure that every single one of our words are being monitored. Why? Because they have to. Because we may actually be able to come together, and if so, they have to try to stop us. And the only thing they've done is they've made us stronger. Now that the American people see that these aren't just the methodologies that your government is willing to use, but this is also their propensity. They want to do this. They have to do this. Every single one of you listening, whether you're a badged member of our society or not, all of you heard Joe Biden when he doubled the allocated funding for domestic terrorism, white supremacists, and he was talking about patriots. He was talking about constitutionalists. He was talking about me. He was talking about you. He was talking about Thomas. And this war for us makes all the sense in the world. It's very confusing if you think that America is honest. But when you allow yourself the resolve of honesty that says, America lost its honesty, not in me, not here, but as the governing body. They're no longer even a remnant or a shell or a shadow of what they're supposed to be. They're the complete opposite. They're a sitting enemy body working to destroy the US. And we're not going to say anything less. We're not going to act like or pretend that this country is in anything less than some type of free fall. Everyone can kind of feel it. Everyone's been seeing it and feeling it for a while. And now as Ukraine shows up on the scene and Americans get to, hashtag and feel however they want about that situation, they realize that we need to be at home. Our interests are here, and we will never, ever be able to solve our issues and really give them resolution to where we don't wake up with the tension and stress that we had yesterday and today and the week before and the month and the year and the decade before, where we actually change everything. We change all the dynamics, not because, we even believed that we could so much, but because we had no choice but to fight for it, right? Because average women and average men do incredible things when they have to, when we have to fight for our children. Have we had enough yet of pedophilia being taught to our children and to hate the country they live in and to hate white people? And, if you're white, then you need to feel guilty. This is a anti-American divisionist training manual that they're putting on our kids. The BLM, critical race theory culture that they want to poison all of these generations with. We're not here to be subjugated to that. We're not going to fall to their rule. We will not give in. The Patriots are here, and we're here in majority. If 80 million out of 340 million voted for Trump, or 75 million, whatever it is, we've never had that many people vote for one candidate before. Never. And yeah, some of that has to do with how many of us are here, but the level of political engagement percentage-wise per capita, we've never seen it like this. We've never, and it's a knee-jerk reaction of fear by a lot of people that vote, for the folks that vote Democrat. But for the people who actually won that last election, it's not a conspiracy theory. Everybody knows Joe Biden couldn't get 30 people in a cornfield that he sent tickets to that they didn't have to pay for. And after 22 miles of bumper-to-bumper parked cars for Donald Trump, they finally started his event. Couldn't tell you the numbers, but it's in the tens and tens of thousands. We know who won. We know who won the election. There's no question. Makshana. We know who won. There's no question. We know we've been lied to. We know we've been betrayed, and we're not willing to play this game where we're in this world of pretend and we act like things aren't what they are because somebody doesn't want us to believe in reality. Fuck you and fuck that. That is not who we are. And to continue to sell us short is, think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Nancy Pelosi by herself can do nothing. Chuck Schumer and Nancy together, they can do nothing. They can do nothing. They have to order people. So people have to be willing to continue to harm us and betray their own nation. If you and I give them a stable place of footing to the best of our ability, that's all we can do. But if we give them a place to come to, right? A culture, a patriot community to come to that says, yes, we've been subjected, to hell by our police and law enforcement and government, but we're still here. We're still here. We still love this nation. If we give them that place to fall back on and show them that it's a real place, we get the nation a lot faster and a lot easier. Because these people that are in power, the only thing they can do is make orders. They have to make the people obey them. It's up to you and I to make sure that if these are tyrannical orders, they do not. So I'll throw it back to you, man.
I want to touch on, so there's a couple other things I want to touch on. So the truckers in Canada won a small victory because Trudeau knew that he could not successfully continue to go for the emergency powers. Those emergency powers were revoked. If you had watched the Parliament hearings, you would have thought that they were talking about actual terrorists, but they were talking about an event that everybody saw was 100% peaceful. So it just, their credibility tanked. Trudeau could not handle it. But what they're doing now, they remove the emergency powers, but what they're doing is the same thing they did at January for people who attended January 6th. They could not attack them in mass when they were grouped up. And so they're going after each and every individual individually in the dark, booting their doors in, arresting them. Or like the 39 trucking companies that were shut by Doug Ford because they had tied the terrorist quote unquote convoy. They're targeting these people in the dark. We need to offer our services. We as the Free Port offer our services to any Canadian that's willing to speak out about anything that's happening on an individual level with the government going after them in Canada. And also we want to symbolically offer a hand of friendship and say, America needs to give these truckers from Canada refugee status. We need them in America. We need those kind of people. We need people with backbones that are willing to sacrifice at this moment in time. So those are two things that I wanted to say. I also want to say that the truckers need to recognize, and it seems like they do, because somebody in the chat was actually saying that they're kicking out anybody they don't recognize in the protest. That's good. They need to record everything. They need cameras. They need to continuously record everything. And we need to understand that we are exhausting every single bit. And a lot of people, I don't blame them for being tired of it. But we're exhausting every single bit of our ability to peacefully resolve this grievance. But if we see what we saw in Canada, how much longer can we hold out? Because we've exhausted peaceful means. We've done everything. How many times can we get smacked in the face before we say this is unacceptable? This is acceptable. And so we need to start preparing, because in my estimation, we're as prepared as a patriot movement as we're ever going to be, and we're as unified as we're ever going to be. And that's sad to say, but we're as unified as we're ever going to be, and as ready as we're ever going to be. And we need to start forming our own communities and splitting off and having communities inside of a community where patriots get together, get money, get resources, and buy land and start making our own communities. We cannot continue like this. We have to have a place to be where we know that we are going to be safe. You see, during 2020, in the early parts of 2020, when the riots were going on, I remember everybody was coming to the militia. They're like, where's the militia? My husband wants to be part of the militia. My son wants to be part of the militia. Where's the militia? Why won't they protect us? Where's the militia? Where's the militia? And the feds saw that, and that is why a lot of the arrests have happened as well, because they cannot have the normal people of this nation recognizing that they are the militia. Militia is not some extremist thing. It's all the able-bodied people within a community getting together to defend their community. And so people were beginning to recognize this and form up, and that's when the feds really freaked out. Because what they really wanted was, they wanted the right, they wanted constitutionalists to freak out, to start doing crazy stuff, which never happened. And instead, what they saw was groups starting to form of rational people doing rational things to protect themselves. And they could not have us looking rational and powerful at the same time. And so they came after us. And so they're doing the same thing in Canada to these truckers. And we want to make sure that we're giving these people a voice, because they know that individually, a lot of these guys do not have voices as big as, some of the YouTubers and streamers that were at the protest. And so it's easier for them to get at people in the dark. That's what the government does. They want to get you alone in the dark so they can have their way with you. And so you can never become a martyr. And so that nobody ever knows your story and what they did to you.
Yep. And again, we want to offer and extend, if you guys know anybody that's in either groups of truck drivers, either the Canadian or the American. Let them know that they have a place that they can come on here with us, and tell us what's going on and why they're doing it. And, we can get into all the discussion, surrounding it. I think that I was reading some of the chats, and, there's folks saying that they've never felt so cornered in their lives. And I hear you. I don't want to sell that short, and I'm not going to attempt to. I just want you to consider that the moment we realize that government has betrayed us, we've never become more free. That if there is no civil moral standard that is binding us together, then, we keep that standard in our lives, knowing that we're not doing it in tandem with our political class. So that's very freeing, because whatever they do at that point, we find ways to ignore. We find ways to render null and void. We make sure that we're no longer a part of this system as to get rid of it. We do whatever we have to do. The founders made sure that they had goods that were non-taxed. That way the crown wasn't getting any share, and they were taking that power away from them. And that was just one way, that they were able to put power back in their hands, and the American people are feeling cornered. And they're going to start to do, they're going to start to use whatever methods are applicable in their lives to make themselves independent of the criminal systems that are continuing to harm them and their children and the people they love. Common sense. It's just common sense. That's what's going to happen.
And I want to.
Go ahead.
I want to address Hatchet Man USA. Absolutely. Back the Blue is finished. The new movement that started is hashtag will the blue back you, or would the blue back you? Hashtag will the blue back you? Hashtag would the blue back you? Because it's time for them to answer us. We've given them enough support, and they spit in our face. We've given them enough support, and they've slapped us. We've given them enough support, and they've hit us in the belly with a nightstick. They hit us with a blackjack. They arrest us. They beat us. They shoot us. They kill us. And yet they will never do that to the left. They stand down to the left. They bow to the left. They kneel with the left. They lay on their bellies with the left. And we saw all of these. You can every single one of those things, you can find pictures of police officers doing alongside BLM and Antifa, who are destroying cities, where they were kneeling, bowing, laying on the ground. But every time that we come out, we are beaten. We are attacked. We are shot like Ashley Babbitt. So it's time for our side to say hashtag will the blue back you, because they don't and they won't. And if they won't, then we cannot back them. Backing and having support for a group is a two-way street. And so if the majority of police are going to continue on this path of treating us like second-class citizens, then we can no longer support them. We'd love to support them. We'd love for them to be on our side. We'd love for them to do their constitutional duty and arrest the actual criminals. But we can no longer back them unequivocally. We can no longer carry back the blue flags or thin blue line flags, any of that, in good conscience. When we see what's happened in Canada, we've seen what happened on January 6th. We've seen what happened with the Whitmer entrapment scheme. We've seen what happened every time we've come out. I've organized personally in Wisconsin and had them tell us that we couldn't even put down porta potties or we'd be arrested, every single one of us. I've had cars vandalized, and they haven't been able to do anything. I've had my livelihood shut down, and they haven't been able to do anything. I've been blacklisted. I've had my way to feed myself and my family taken away, and I've only been given the very minimum option of having to pretty much do politics for a living. That's all I can do. They will not let me do anything else except for conservative politics. They've made it so I almost cannot live. And so, yeah, I feel you 100%. We are backed into a corner. And if the blue does not come out with a very, very open and vocal movement supporting the Constitution and supporting those who support the Constitution, like the truckers, like us, then we cannot back them, and we won't back them. And they should not look to us when they shoot somebody, or even when they shoot somebody justifiably. Even we're not going to be there to help them. Look what happened to the McMichaels. They got railroaded because they were doing the cops' job. Look at Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse was doing the police's job, and yet he was still almost railroaded. We're done. The back of the blue thing is done. They shut down our businesses. They kicked us when we were down. They shut down our businesses because the government didn't. The government said shut down their businesses, and the cops obeyed. That's what happened. They shut down our businesses, and they can say just doing my job all they want, because just doing my job doesn't cut the mustard anymore. We're done with this. We're done with it.
Yeah, they rightly put themselves in the position to be questioned by us. We have watched in every state, at every rally, BLM Antifers will show up, and at least the way that it started. Now, we did see an evolution, but the cops would tell the patriots to go home while BLM and Antifa were just tearing stuff up. And then you see when they get into it, they arrest the patriots. And then, up till very recently, you started to see that the cops were a little less willing, at least in Columbus at the State House, a little less willing to treat us like shit. And this is because the truth of our situation, ladies and gentlemen, like Calvin was saying, this is natural. Everybody sees it for what it is. They can sit there and lie, and they can call us domestic terrorists, but when we go down there and all of our words are peaceful every single time, and then we get called domestic terrorists, everybody sees how that's disproportionate. Everybody sees that doesn't make sense. This convoy, recognizes a lot of what's wrong with, or what's wrong happening here in the U.S. And let's say that this is agent provocateurs that have put this on. Again, and you guys have heard me say this before. Let's say that it's a genuine movement. We believe that we can see both of those scenarios still ending the same. The government will take any and every scenario and use it and abuse it to their ends and their means. And I think that this truck driver convoy could be more of a seminal moment where I don't know if Americans are going to be as tolerant anymore as they have been. If these truck drivers are hurt or anything like that, I don't. What do you guys think in the chat? What do you guys think will be the reaction by the American, and not the everyday Americans out there that aren't paying attention to any of this and are just scared walking around, basically, but the patriots? What do you think the patriot reaction could or should be to that?
And also, if we're going to talk about, so there was a lot of people that went dark after the Whitmer arrests, after January 6th, after all these investigations, and when it was just beginning to look up, when people were beginning to join, just normal people, regular people who were looking to the militia because they could not look to the police. And remember that they could not look to the police. It's not because they didn't try to look to the police. They looked to the police, and the police stood down while their businesses were burned to the ground, and their businesses were shut down by the police. The businesses were shut down and then burned to the ground, and the police could not be bothered to help them. So, it's up to us to restore the militia. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are still worried about saying they're part of the militia. We have to get over it. We all are the militia, regardless of whether we like it or not. We're the only ones that are going to defend this place. We're the only ones. There's nobody else coming. And I think we're as prepared as we're going to be. So we just need to stay Frosty, and we need to gather together many of our neighbors and countrymen as are like-minded and are willing to get together. And Jeremy and I talked about it many times. If we had, a rich patriot benefactor, something where we could have unlimited funds to build communities for patriots, we'd be doing it. That's what we'd be doing. I mean, that's why we do this, is essentially to continue to build and build and build until we have an ability to have the money and the resources to make a place that's safe for patriots and regular families to live. Because we're the only ones just continuing to stick our heads above the ground, above the trench line. And we get smacked for it, here and there, but we're the only ones that are still here doing this in earnest, in honest, you know what I mean? Ones that are actually willing to say, yeah, I'm totally support the militia. I saw so many pundits back away from the word militia after January 6th and after the Whitmer thing, because they gave into that pressure. And it's not a bad word. The militia, we all are the militia. It's just it's part. If you look at Ukraine, when they arm their citizens with firearms, they're making them militia. Whether you agree with Ukraine or you agree with Russia, I don't. It's none of my business. I don't care what they do in Ukraine. But just as an example, that's what militia is. It's armed citizens protecting their country. That's what it is. So that's a good example in the current era of the militia, the Ukrainians being armed to fight. But we, on the other hand, are in a different position because we need ourselves, because our government is looking to is waging war on us. What else can we call it at this point? They literally took our border patrol off our border to go to Ukraine. That's a slap in the face. That's insult to injury. What else can we call it? They are completely abandoning any responsibility and duty they have to us, while saying that we're the bad guys because we're trying to hold them accountable. We need to stand our ground. We need to continue to stand our ground. And I think that we are turning a corner with public opinion where people are finally seeing that these people are not good. They're just not good, especially with looking at the border patrol being taken, as well as the fact that we could open up the XL pipeline and our gas prices would plummet. Yet Joe Biden doesn't want to do that. He won't do that. Definitely won't do anything that helps Americans live American lives.
Yeah, so we have a president that was here a year ago, and our gas price was, $1.50, $2, whatever it was, and then this guy shows up. Everything goes up: gas price, inflation, blah 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 blah. And we're supposed to believe that Joe Biden couldn't open up that same pipeline that he shut down and help us out. And if he doesn't, then, look, what you have in front of you is obvious. He is trying to harm you on purpose. He knows that you open up the pipeline and boom, tomorrow people got jobs. They're going to start generating money. They're going to start generating oil. This is going to help the economy. This is, and you would feel that relief. I mean, almost immediately. All you got to do is turn it back on. All you got to do, keep work on the XL pipeline, keep work, we have plenty here, but this environmentalist agenda, right, is the guise that they use to hide behind so that they can get away with a lot of shit. And it harms the environment. It only harms the environment here. It doesn't harm the environment in China. Doesn't harm the environment in Europe. Doesn't harm the environment over in Ukraine. Just harms the environment here. Don't know if you guys know this, but part of this whole United Nations sustainable development, we got to love the environment bullshit lie that they're doing. When you look at the way that it's written, it takes the ability to, for first world developed countries to be able to produce pollution. So you're thinking England, US, China, all of this. No, China is not considered a first world developed nation. So they're allowed to pollute all they want. That's why before the Beijing Olympics, they put those air filters at the tops of all of the buildings, and they stopped production for 2 weeks minimum before the Olympics because the air quality is so bad because of everything they're allowed to get away with. What they're instituting now in the US are vouchers. If you want to produce energy and therefore produce pollution, then you have to buy so many vouchers, and you can only pollute in accordance to your number of vouchers. Well, each year they're going to get rid of more vouchers and make them more expensive. That way, by the end of it, when you start out here and then you just get smaller and smaller and go up, by the time you do that, you have a monopoly on energy, and it'll be consolidated into one, two, maybe three large government-owned corporations. That's what it's for. That's what they're heading us towards. And in order to do that, because this nation is it's just been such a badass that it's very hard to destroy us. It's not as easy as one would think. You have to actually destroy our systems very methodically. You have to go through and tear everything apart because our systems were good, very good. And so they've since, bastardized capitalism and turned it into, instead of shareholder capitalism, it's stakeholder capitalism, and crony capitalism and everything else. We've never seen pure capitalism in our lives. None of us. If you're alive right now, it hasn't existed in your lifetime. Don't care how old you are. It has not. You get to see little tiny glimpses of it, but nothing in the macro. This control that we see, this convoy is a symbol of everything that goes against their totalitarian control. That's why you saw Canada come down with their iron fist, which was probably, and I don't know, Thomas, I don't know what you think about that, but those were probably American police that did that, like they said in Canadian Parliament. But this convoy here in America, they know what's coming. I like to think that at least most of them are aware of how they're going to be treated, what's coming their way. And they're still going. It's a testament to bravery and courage, and it's a testament to the willingness to sacrifice your job, your possessions, your belonging, your truck, possibly your freedom, facing charges.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, America is still alive. It's alive in you and me, and we're the only ones to preserve it. We're the only ones to fight for it. We are, as Thomas said, the only ones to change what's happening. No one else. If you haven't seen, no one else exists. It's time you and I decide to take those reins of control over our own lands. Go ahead, man.
No, man, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I mean, we have to. I think the biggest thing is we have to remember our identity as Americans. For a long time now, we've allowed that to be subverted, and we have an identity crisis in America, where a lot of our young people do not understand what it is to be an American. Americans are a different breed. We're different kind of people. We don't, and this is something that we have to take into account when we look at the Canadian protest versus what will probably happen at the U.S. protest. The U.S. protest is probably, the police are probably going to take a lot heavier hand towards these truckers, and they know 100% that they are going into the lion's den, and they are most likely going to be hurt, jailed, have their possessions taken, have their jobs taken. But what else is there to sacrifice? Everything is gone. That's an American. An American is willing to sacrifice everything in order to live a life of independence and decency. Essentially, I mean, we want to live life on our feet, not on our knees. And so the system sees that, and no wonder they're trying to start war. They don't want us remembering who we are. They don't want us fighting back. They want us to give up. They want us to roll over, and they want us to die. And they've said as much. What was there was that Oprah interview where she said, "We're just waiting for these people to die." And that's just the long and short of it. They want us gone. They know that their system cannot work with people like us around. and we're rearing our heads, and we're digging in our heels, and we're not going to put up with it anymore. This is not the old conservative movement. This is not what they are used to. We are sick of being pushed around, and we're not going to take it anymore. And that's what I see. I see that as the realization of what Americans are supposed to be, and that needs to spread, because if we don't find our identity as rebellious Americans, we're going to be really in a bad position. And Jeremy took off. Thought he was there, and then he left. But while I have this time too, again, I want to remind you guys. I want to remind you guys to go to www.patriotshit.com. Use the promo code TFMR 2022. Check out, that helps us out. Also, donations can go to www.paypal.me / or / I forget which one is which. The Freeman Party. And it's scrolling across the bottom there if you need help. Just wanted to get that out there. Just like to remind people. Did you want to show that video of Rebel News, or?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I'm gonna bring this up. Well, if you want to talk for a second, I'm gonna bring this up.
Yeah, while you're getting that ready, man, we appreciate you guys being here tonight. We're about an hour in already, and if you guys get a chance to do all the little clicking and everything that's freaking obnoxious, the share, subscribe crap. What a stupid time that we live in. I guess it hooks us up. So if you get a chance to do that, that'd be cool, man. Check out this video. This guy, you would like to think like, thank God I live in America. This can't happen here. Well, now I'm not so sure. Check this out, man. This is what you get when you do not have a constitutional republic with a democratic voting system with an electoral college. Watch.
Alrighty.
Look at this story that I just saw today in the truck news. MTO, that's the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario, grounds trucking businesses involved in Freedom Convoy protests. It's from Today's Trucking, a Trudeau publication, by which I mean they take Trudeau's media bailout. The Ontario Ministry of Transportation has effectively shut down 39 trucking businesses in the wake of a crackdown on so-called Freedom Convoy protesters. Oh, just that. So they're protesters who, as far as we know, have not been charged with any crime, but they've just had their businesses shut down. What does that mean to have your business shut down? A business they've built up their whole lives, maybe a truck, a company, license, insurance, all the parts of it just ended. No trial, no judge, no hearing, no appeal, no ruling, just happened, just done. And of course, it was done by Doug Ford, but at Ottawa's direction. So there still is an emergency act in effect in the city of Ottawa and the province of Ontario. Doug Ford is just stupid enough to let it be on him. Stupidity, for sure. Let me show you the stupidest thing I've seen all day. You have to see this to know the moral and intellectual character, the people who rule over you. So this is from Yara Sachs. That's, as I said yesterday, she's in a battle to the death with Seamus O'Regan for the title of stupidest MP in the country. And I'm rooting for her because she's my MP in North Toronto here. She is inconsequential in every other way. For all I know, she has never set foot on Parliament Hill, never done anything for all I can detect. I literally wouldn't know the difference until this spectacular speech in favor of martial law.
How many guns need to be seized? How much vitriol do we have to see of honk honk, which is an acronym for Hail Hitler, do we need to see by these protesters on social media?
Imagine saying that and then having Trudeau throw it out. She thinks honk honk stands for Heil Hitler, but she can't really believe that, can she? I mean, she was just told to say that, right? Because it's so ridiculous. But she's Jewish, so she only has one use to Trudeau, which is to convince Jews to vote liberal and to smear non-liberals as Nazis. So of course they gave her that ridiculous speech to read. I mean, Seamus O'Regan wouldn't work with him. So she read it. She's like Ron Burgundy, the fictional newscaster who would literally read anything put in his teleprompter.
Hey, you're making me look stupid. Get out here, panda jerk.
Great story. Compelling and rich. Well, that's going to do it for all of us here at Channel 4 News. You stay classy, San Diego. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, I'm so proud of my local MP, RSX. She really was world famous for stupidity, and so I feel special. But she obviously felt stung by the worldwide reaction to that speech that went viral internationally. So she doubled down. She tried to prove she was right. I swear. Here's what she said. She went on Twitter and said, "For those who think that honk honk is some innocuous joke, I'll just leave this here." So she tweeted this as proof. This is a thread outlining a crazy conspiracy theory. Let's skip straight to this image. Just take a look at that there. This looks like it's from a humorous troll website called 4chan. It's where teenagers cook up schemes and share jokes and tricks on the normies, normal people. You might be able to detect a little bit of that from the frog dressed up as a clown and the fact that the message is written by anonymous. Do you see that? You can also see that it's dated February 19th, so long after the honking had been ordered stopped by the judge. So this was just someone who cooked up a joke on the weekend. And look what he says. He says, "Why honk honk is the next okay sign? Honk honk equals HH. If you honk, you're a honky." And HH presumably is Hitler. That's what RSX. And so let me repeat. This is a joke website by anonymous jokesters. Maybe the clown gave it away. I don't know. Maybe the reference to the next okay sign. These are the people who made the hoax that the okay hand symbol is a hate symbol, and the idiots in the mainstream media ate it up. It was a joke to trick them. Everyone makes that hand symbol from time to time. You might detect that this is a joke, but Yara Sachs literally cites this anonymous frog clown who makes reference to the last hoax the liberals bought and comes up with the craziest theory yet. I mean, seriously, he even says the word honk is related to honky, which is a derogatory word for white people. And Yara Sachs cites this as her authority. This is why she said Canada had to be under martial law. For those who think that honk honk is some innocuous joke, yeah, you are the joke. You literally link to a clown referring to a past joke, making to a new joke. You're that stupid. Congratulations to everyone involved. So that's the funny part. My MP is the dumbest in Canada. Take that, Seamus O'Regan. We're not done, though. There are emergency powers across the country. I mentioned Ontario's. Of course, there are emergency style powers being used to justify forced vaccine mandates, being used to justify no-fly lists against unvaccinated people as if they're terrorists, being used to justify every sort of cruelty that was once unthinkable. I think the truckers have a win today, but the cruelty of the state remains with us. I think Justin Trudeau's next move will be to do it right. He'll make sure there's no pesky independent journalists before he goes to implement martial law. That's what I predict. That's an exit.
89 trucking businesses, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is they're doing exactly what they did after January 6th, which is going after the people after they're dispersed individually one by one. And if they've hired and in America, they hired literally Antifa and BLM. Where Hatchet Man is asking, where's BLM and Antifa been? Well, they've been, adopted into the regime essentially, either hired as independent freelance, quote unquote insurrection hunters, hunting patriots, or they are, being given positions. Like what was the one dude in the Biden administration that likes to dress up like a dog? He's got some kind of kink to dress up like a dog. He likes to be pretend he's a puppy. You didn't see that?
I did see it, but I don't know that guy's name.
I'll bring it up.
Yeah. These are the kind of freaks for their freak show for sure. And if you guys have been paying attention to Anonymous, about 10 years ago or so, you used to see Anonymous, the hacktivist collective, and they would bring down like irs.gov, whitehouse.gov, things like that. They brought down other israel.gov. Well, they've been gone, and no one's seen them for a while. And you have seen Antifa saying that they are anonymous, doing whatever they do. Well, Anonymous, the actual hacktivist collective, came back on the scene with Ghost Sec, and they took down China's. It's one of their. It's the LPO Liberation People's or LPA Liberation People's Army. They're the hackers for China that have been hacking our national defense systems, and Anonymous caught them and brought them down. Actually, shut them down this morning. So there's also that's going on. But here, check this out.
All right, so it was just putting a message in the chat there. So Biden admin embraces dog kink with new hire to the Department of Energy. Every day we fall further from God, folks. And this is from Louder with Crowder. Is the source. He's very well sourced when he puts up articles. So I trust going here because he has very good sources. Everything's, verified. The Biden administration has sunk to a new low, appointing a drag queen LGBTQ plus activist who has lectured on kink at college campuses and seems to enjoy getting jiggy with animals. I don't know. It's a lot of extremely disgusting information really fast. I know it's a lot of extremely disgusting information really fast, but I thought it would be best to do this one like removing a Band-Aid. You may have read that first part over a few times just to make sure you weren't misreading it, but I'm serious about each word. Sam Britton, who, as Red State reports from time to time, goes by his drag queen name, Sister Ray D. O. Active, was recently appointed to the position of Deputy Assistant Secretary of Spent Fuel and Waste Disposition. So he'll be strutting his stuff all around the Department of Energy. I guess this kind of stuff everyone can expect to see around the office. I'm guessing this is the kind of stuff everybody can expect to see around the office. So he's referring to this whole thing. I don't know. I don't want to even go that much deeper into that. We've all seen the creepy leather dog costumes before. It doesn't get any less gross the more you see it, though. And if the cross-dressing and BDSM dogs weren't enough to make your skin crawl in a past interview, Britton defended his enjoyment of bestiality, saying, "One of the hardest things about being a handler is that I've honestly had people ask, wait, you have sex with animals? They believe it's abusive, that it's taking advantage of someone who may not be acting up to a level of human responsibility. The other misperception is that I have some really messed up background. Like, did I have some horrible childhood trauma that made me like to have sex with animals? Yep. I don't even want to comment on that. Suffice it to say, I am about to vomit. Look, there's no way this dude is qualified to do anything within the government. He's not qualified to be a greeter at Walmart. I think someone appointed to such a position in the government would have to be screened for mental instability. I'm guessing he's an affirmative action hire. Biden just wants to make sure he has enough dog boning drag queens on staff. And really, next to all the pedophilia supporting activists coming out of the woodwork, I guess it was only a matter of time before the left started mainstream all their other favorite perversions. Just wait. The next Secretary of Education is probably going to be a necrophiliac or something, and the left is going to tell you it's none of your business. So, yeah, there's that.
Well, I remember when that used to be a crime. I'm not sure how humping animals became legal, or
well, Cenk
I'm not
Uygur
sure how that
also
guy's not in fucking jail. I don't know how that dude's not in jail.
Cenk Uygur also defended pedophilia, saying that it should be legal. It's not a crime, or it should be legal to quote unquote get animals off. Cenk Uygur. You guys can check that
From
out
the Young
yourself.
Turks?
Yeah, from the Young Turks. He is very, very adamant about how bestiality should be legal.
Well, that's, so for the patriots out there, we get this nation back into the common hands of the common man and woman. And all of these freaks, they just go. You know what I mean? No more animal humping. No more. No. Dude admitted it, so he's going to jail. You know what I mean? Goodbye. Like, this is it's a mockery of a mockery at this point. You know what I mean? It's a calamity that met a tornado that was in the middle of a hurricane that was poisoned by Hermes. And then, I'm sorry, is that too much of an odd reference there? Yeah, no, it's a disaster. It's a freaking disaster. These degenerates need to be put in their place, which is in a jail, in a prison, rather, that doesn't have any of this protective custody for freaks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
you're touching kids and animals, there's something wrong.
You go to the general pop, you know what I mean? That's it. You're in general pop. We're not dealing with it, and you wanted to behave like an animal. We're going to put you in an animal factory, and we'll see how that works out for you. Now, again, if we had control of our nation, there would be none of this, lockup on MSNBC and praising a prison industrial complex that's churning our very own mothers and daughters and fathers and sons into more proficient killers and just much more brutal people, where you have to make it in that environment. And our natural instincts are to survive. And when you have, a bunch of alpha females or a bunch of alpha males, I mean, this is ridiculous. Everything changes. We get our nation into our hands and everything changes. We no longer have monster factories for fucking prisons. And we actually act like these are our sons and daughters, mothers and fathers, where if you messed up, if you did something you weren't supposed to, all right, you got to go away for a bit. But while you're there, we're going to make sure that you're taken care of and you're not, in this old system of, it's evil, I had a buddy that was locked up in Folsom a few times out in California. And, he, numerous times would tell me stories about, just standing in the lunch line and look over and the guy next to him, got jabbed in the neck or whatever. And, it's just, and that's the way that they live. And you become so numb, to, that being numb like that disconnects you. You become disconnected from all of your countrymen and women because they're not living that brutal life. And by the time you get out of incarceration and nobody out here is stabbing each other in the neck with pencils and everybody talks to each other a different kind of way. And, it's much more loose and relaxed out here and people aren't so aggressive and, all of this. That's hard. That's hard for people to get used to, man. That's the same as being a war vet of any kind. You're experiencing the same type of trauma. You're looking at human death and human injury, and this is ridiculous to think that in any way this would be normal. I've said this before, but how there's people out there that are pretty sure they have an old soul. Yeah. They're like, man, I'm telling you, I've done this before and da da da. Well, I feel like this is my first damn time. I feel like this is my first time. I'm totally new here. And none of this shit makes any sense. Okay. None of it. I don't even understand us as a species. It drives me insane. How is it that if you live on a planet where you have to wear clothes, right? You got to have clothes on. You have to. And you sell those on this system where you have to work for that money. And then that money, which is your life, is just paper. And it translates into some type of value to get a shirt. What? All right, listen, either I'm on tons of drugs or this shit is insane, right? I mean, we've got to be so confusing to extraterrestrial life. They're like, really? They've been around that long and this is what they're doing? Like, the wheel happened how long ago? Like, they discovered fire how long ago? Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? How is it they haven't gotten over this hurdle yet? You know? You have to live in a home so that you cannot die. And we have to pay for that. And I know when I listen, I know, I get it. All right. I'm the new guy here because when I brought this up to people, not everybody, but there are people that are like, yeah, well, how else would you do it? What other kind of system have you thought of? Holy jumping Jack Flash's ass. Are you serious? Are you fucking kidding me? This is the reasonable standard. This is what we should expect and then bequeath to the people that we love. Like, hey, I love you, and you're fucked. You know what I mean? Like, the system is garbage, dude. What in the hell? Okay, and let me get this straight. We have to eat, and we need water to live. And we're just going to sell the shit out of those. So our time on Earth, our life's essence, right? We don't have much time here. We don't. And we're looking at war and pedophiles in offices and people that want to be animals and hump animals. We don't have much time here for all this tomfoolery, right? We're trying to make things right. We're trying to get things good. And we got people that are selling us the essentials for us to live on the planet like we owed them something. They were born too, motherfuckers. What is going on? I don't owe anybody anything for being here. I have chickens. You know what I'm saying? I can go get some goats and things. What are you talking about? That I owe a property tax for being alive and on the land. Did you expect me to float, motherfucker? Did you expect me to levitate, you dumb son of a bitch? What are you thinking? I'm just saying, I don't want to harp on this too much. I'm just saying that none of this shit really actually makes sense to me. And it never has. And maybe I'm just immature. Maybe I'm just childish, and I never grew up, as people would say. You got to grow up. Well, I don't even know if I know how to grow up out of that. You know what I'm saying? Because the shit makes sense. That does not make any fucking sense. And nobody's ever been able to prove. Listen, you want to come up with other systems? Shit, I'll sit down with you. We can do it 15 days in a row, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, till we figure the shit out. You know what I mean? We may come up with something. Maybe I already have ideas and maybe I'm not alone. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's millions of us that believe in all kinds of other ways of living, and none of this shit makes any sense. And we don't have to take part in it, guys. That's what I'm saying. I look around and I believe that we're a species that still has choice, man. And if we chose the right things, and if I suppose if there was enough of us and we were resolute in our choice and we understood what that choice meant, man, it would be ours and it'd be hell taking it from us. And the choice I'm talking about is freedom. If we said, fuck your systems, dude, this just doesn't, I'm not doing this, man. I've wasted my whole life and I've watched people I love. And I know of generations of my own family that have wasted their lives in systems that were only meant for the benefit of criminals and tyrants that don't give a fuck about me. How in the hell am I supposed to take part in this? How am I supposed to take any of this seriously? Are you fucking kidding me? Somebody tells me I owe them money for a bill and I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know, man. I don't know. It doesn't seem like I do. You know what I mean? Are you telling me that you're charging me this money, my life's essence, to communicate, to just be able to communicate? Dude, we've got to be able to do better. I just think we can. I think it's insane. And again, I feel like maybe I'm the new guy here. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm in my 40s now, and I still do not feel differently. Maybe I just need to grow up. I don't know, man. What do you think, dude?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're living in a messed up system. I mean, you can't. Here's my thing is we can't buy land, and you can't even buy land and get the water and sky rights. You can't. I mean, when you buy land, you don't really actually buy it. You still got to pay taxes on it. You got to pay taxes on the fact that you are alive, or the fact that you work, an income tax. And think about taxes in the way the left thinks about taxes. So the left is like, well, we want people to stop smoking, so let's put more taxes on it. So what would an income tax be if that's the way they think, and they think that less people will smoke if there's more tax on it? Then why would they continue to tax our income? Because don't we want people to work? So it's completely bad. It's ass backwards. I mean, we need to be able to. My big thing is, I'm fine with paying bills. I'm fine with working. But the thing is, if you were to say, "Oh, I'm going to redirect this creek and make my own power, or offset with solar power, or collect rainwater," I mean, they won't let you do that. They'll come after you. You can't live a self-sustaining life without having the government in your back pocket at all times. And that's the problem. And that's why essentially, I'd like to really, really get together just a group of patriots to live in a community where we make the rules, and it's not going to be free. You have to get up, you have chores, but you know that you're living a life that's free, where people aren't going to be telling you what to do. Besides, that you have chores and have to do them. Outside of that, you'd live free. You'd have your land. You'd be able to live your life and just be just be.
Well, think about it. If you want to be free, then what you've done, if you say, I am somebody who demands my freedom, then what you're saying is I demand a lack of immediate safety. Not that government could provide it for you in a totalitarian state. There's no way that it can be provided anyway in immediacy by any outside force. That's impossible. It's a physical impossibility. If Isaac Newton was here, he'd slap you in the head and be like, dude, listen to the guy with the funny hat, because it's impossible. You have to have your safety in your hands. That means a gun. Talking about firearms. It has to happen, right? It's your responsibility. Well, as it turns out here, we don't even have to reinvent any wheels, dude. This was a place built on individual rights and freedoms that came with responsibilities. So let's say one of you out here in our chat room that is just blowing up. Appreciate y'all being here tonight. Really do. Appreciate you taking such a big part in it. Do not forget, let me interrupt myself and then I'll forget what I was saying. Do not forget, if y'all, there's absolutely every chance that the FBI, the Department of Justice, judges, lawyers, prosecutors, private investigators, and press, and it's liberal press, for the most part, are all watching this. And if they're not watching it now, they'll be watching it later. So do not forget, in the chat room, if you desire to say hello to any one of those organizations and let them know, either your level of gratitude or, you can possibly file a complaint or two if you wanted. So either way, they're going to put you on a real special list. And that list will probably see all of us in a gulag somewhere, if they get their way. But yeah, shit, I don't know what I was saying. What was I saying?
I don't know. I completely lost track.
Yeah.
I was reading the comments. Sorry, man.
No, you're good. You're good. I know I was somewhere with something. I think it comes down to, I want to reiterate that we have choice. We can choose, guys. We can choose. We can choose this, First, let us choose our courage, because, think about it. Whether you choose it or not, these guys are going to keep running an agenda, the same agenda they've been running, and they're not going to stop. So choose your courage. And once you've chosen your courage, make it a point to, we're going to reach out to the police and be like, hey, you need to arrest them. All of them, all right there, every single one of them. And when they do not, then everybody gets to see at that point. They're not listening and they have no intention to. They're going to listen to the orders from up high. Look at how free they've made us. And they've given us every motivation for us to now, because that's a very stark thing to have to experience if you think about the reality of it. If you're at the event that day, the day that they're supposed to arrest all the politicians and the rest of the criminals, and you see that they do not, immediately, where do you look? you start to look at the people standing around and say, whoa, wait a minute. When it comes down to it, this is really on us. What will we do now? What will we create? How will we behave? What is our resolve, and where does that lie? Because we see that our systems have failed us. If you love the country, if you're any type of nationalist, if you're any type of a populist, if you're any type of a patriot, if you love this place, basically, then, and you know that it's worth fighting for, then they're going to do everything they can to come after you. When it's time to be a patriot, ask the truck drivers in the convoy. When it's time to be a patriot, when it's needed the most, that's always when it's going to be most difficult. It's not when it's going to be easy. It's when people are going to make phone calls and try to get you to lose your job. It's all been done before, not just in this country. And that's when you're going to be physically attacked for wearing a red hat that says MAGA. That's when it doesn't matter if you're elderly, it doesn't matter if you're young, you can be attacked. And that's when
trampled by horses.
Or trampled by horses. Yeah. So
they'll even do that to you if you're on a hover round off to see the world.
Actually, one of the experiences we had at the Columbus State House, I personally was under threat from actual real white supremacists that I had exposed on YouTube and Facebook by name and everything, and showed pictures and everything. And when I did that, they got a hold of me and they threatened me, told me they were going to take me out with sniper rounds when we had our event. So we go down there. Long story short, the police come out of the doors and start beating on everybody. One of the people was a woman in a wheelchair, and they battered up her legs pretty good. And
there should be and anybody feel free to take this idea and run with it, but there should be a satirical commercial where it's for hover round, and the lady's like, I'm off to see the world, and then she gets trampled by police horses.
And then they'll come out with the hover round turbo, where you can evade BLM and Antifa protests.
Oh man!
They'll actually say where you can avoid domestic terrorist white supremacy gatherings.
The Canadian version of hover round.
Hover a boot.
Hover a boot.
Hover a boot.
But I want to say this too. I want to say that we're thankful for everybody that comes and watches us shoot the shit every Friday. And we do take this seriously. It's one thing I really want to say is we take it seriously that we're bringing you guys information. We appreciate that. There's a lot of people in this chat room that have donated. And we take that seriously. We take that confidence seriously. We appreciate so much all the donations and the fact that you guys support us. And we do our best to give you our take on things as best we can. We try to bring you content that's worth watching. We always take your comments into consideration and try to up our game. So we want to say we're thankful for you guys. We really love you guys for coming back every single Friday. I know I see a lot of you every single Friday. And it means a lot to us. It really does. And so I want to say that to you guys. Even if you've never donated or whatever, just being here and sharing, is just means the world to us. So we really, really appreciate you guys. And I want to also say that it's these kind of things that are going to change the outcome of what our future looks like. I really truly believe that our future is dictated by the actions that we are taking now, and that no matter how much the system tries to tell us that this show, and believe me, behind the scenes, there's things that we cannot tell you about what we've been told about this show. And what's been done to each of us individually to try to target us. There's so many different things that happen behind the scenes that we don't tell because we can't. But we really appreciate you guys, and it means a lot.
Absolutely. I want to leave everybody with a couple of thoughts tonight. The first one is really see what you're seeing. All right. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the Patriot movement was trying to gather its feet, and we saw what it was capable of. We had a national 3%. Within the national 3%, we saw other national groups grow. We saw, I mean, this was a big deal. Militias were growing everywhere. Patriot groups were growing everywhere. We saw who was interested when it was easy. And I'm not picking on them. I'm just saying that at the time, this was an easy time to do this. And then we saw groups get broken up everywhere. Then we saw Lavoie and Mountaineer and Sugar Pine Mine and Bundy Ranch. And we saw all the way up to January 6th and today. And now see what you're seeing, because this was a Patriot movement that wouldn't quit. This is a Patriot movement that's still here. This is a Patriot movement. It gets shaken, and now think about how much better off we are. Let me be honest. The Patriot movement was naive and ignorant. They didn't understand. They knew that something was wrong, but they didn't know the degree and the level of depravity of their own sitting body of governance. They weren't ready to go down too many rabbit holes. They just saw one instance that was their last straw, and that was enough for them, but they didn't really believe in the egregious nature and betrayal, and they were naive and ignorant. And some of these people are some of my best friends, but when people were first showing up, years ago, and when people first show up now, they're naive and they're ignorant. And as a Patriot movement that was gathering its feet, it was naive and ignorant, as it should have been. It didn't know that the government would set them up when they never actually committed a crime. They didn't know that the government would take their words and use them against them in a way that was able to put charges on them that everyone knew wasn't true. They didn't know, they were unaware of the real level and degree of how bad things had gotten in order just to wake them up the little bit that they had gotten. And now today, we are not the same patriots. This is not the same patriot community. Think about how in a short time we've gotten a crash course, and we keep coming together, and we still have our events. And what we've been able to do is hold the line and motivate a nation of truck drivers who think, man, we're not alone. We're not just putting ourselves out there. We know that the Patriot movement is here. We've been to the events. Some of us have spoken at the events. We've helped organize events, and we can do this. It's not just us. It's not just truck drivers. This nation still has breathing resonance of patriotism. And it was because of you. It was because you went to those events when it was cold, when it was hot, when it was perfect. You guys went. You took the time to pass out flyers, buy T-shirts while you were there, patronize the other patriots like our guy here for Patriot Shit Outfitters. You took time and you did it right. And you made sure that the events were as successful as they could be. And because of that continual presence year in and year out, whether we had to face BLM and Antifa, which then drew us closer together, made us stronger, or if we had to face off against our own policing forces and try to explain to them, like, dude, we're not your enemy. You're not ours. What are you doing? And that make us stronger in our resolve as well. We have gotten better, and we've become a force to reckon with. And we're the last ones to recognize it, and that's a shame. Speak it into existence. You know that it's true. Without you doing this the last 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, do you think these truck drivers would be doing what they're doing? Or do you think that it'd be easier for them to give in to the hand of a totalitarian tyrant's control? Because at that point, nobody was standing. Nobody. It was you. It was you and me. You, me, and Thomas. We were the ones doing it. We were the ones putting the time out there because we were able to do it for whatever reason. Circumstantially, we made the time. We molded our lives around the ability to be able to do so. Whatever it is that made it possible for us to do it, we did it. And it opened every door for today. You're bigger, you're stronger than what you've ever been. And like Thomas said earlier, you're more unified than what you've ever been or what you're ever going to be. This is it. This is our time. What will we do with it? I want to lead into the second thing, and then I'll give it back to Thomas here. The United States sitting body of federal governance needs to go. It needs to go. Now, once again, I'm not somebody who's for complete abolishment of the federal government. All right. I can agree that contractually they were given forts, ports, and 10 square miles in DC. I can agree to that. That does not mean that federal land, such as the 10 square miles in DC, is not subjected to the U.S. Constitution. That is not what that means. So I do have some problems within how they constructed forts, ports, and 10 square miles. I'm okay with the states regulating their own international trade. So I don't believe we need a federal government for that at all. No federal trade commission. But the fact is I want you guys to think about this weekend. Your federal government has shown you that they are incapable of keeping you safe, whether it's the food you eat, the drugs you take, or the wars that are waged, right? It's through federal order that the National Guard gets ordered in most states, unfortunately, right? We just talked about that the other night, me and Slider. We have a federal government run amok, run way out of the bounds of their given authority, and they need to be reined in and 99% done away with on a federal level. I'm not saying that those jobs do not need to be done. Many of them do. Many of them have their appropriate place, but it does not need to be federalized. We've seen what happens when we've given a federal government the authority that we have, and we've seen what they've done with it. And it's nothing short of a tragic betrayal. And we believe, and we want to know what you guys think, that the United States federal government needs to be stopped, frozen, and then diminished greatly, and then brought back in a lawful capacity. So it's been talked about a little bit here and there, but and then I want to reiterate to the Canadian Patriots, you guys, if you guys know anybody in Canada that you could give this to, let them know, and for this matter, any of the words that we say on these broadcasts that you guys like, take them and use them for yourselves. They're now your words. Use them and make them better. But let them know that, as far as the Patriots in America are concerned, we'd love to have conservative Canadian patriots down here in America with us. They just took our border patrol away from the southern border and are sending them to Ukraine. So why not open the northern border to the northern patriots, and we also want to have a platform for you guys to speak here on the Freeman Report. So there you go, man.
Yep, they have a platform anytime they need it. If there's something they need to say that is not getting said, they have a platform here. And we want our Canadian brothers who are refugees and being persecuted in the country of Canada to feel free to get asylum here in America, and whatever we can do to help them do that. And I know that at least for myself, this politics is something that wears you down. And you can't always have that 100% passion, because it's like they wear you down and they wear you down and they wear you down. But we've held the line. Like Jeremy said, we've held the line, and we are as strong as we are ever going to be. We're as learned as we're ever going to be. And it is about time that we start making some decisive decisions. And so next week, we will present you guys with a petition that you can send to anyone, from the federal government to the state governments to the local governments. You can send these petitions to anyone, anywhere, and they can sign it and send it in to whomever they like. And this petition will be it'll be particularly interesting to you guys. I'm not going to go too in depth with what it has in it. Jeremy knows what it has in it. And we've talked it over, and there's still some things that need to be fixed, but I think you guys are going to be well pleased with what we present, and you guys can take it, use it as your own. So next week, Friday, make sure to tune in, because we will be giving out the verbiage of a new petition that I think is going to be very helpful to everybody. Again, I want to say I love you guys. Thank you for coming out every broadcast. Thanks for the donations. Thanks for the support. Thanks for sharing. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have any of this. We wouldn't do any of this. And we take it seriously. We want to bring you guys something that's entertaining, that's fact oriented, that's news oriented, that's getting you the actual truth that you're not getting or wouldn't get from the mainstream media. Which I know a lot of you guys haven't seen the mainstream media for a long, long time because nobody watches it anymore. But we want to let you guys know that we appreciate you so much. And we're gonna end this broadcast. And I just want to thank you guys. Jeremy, do you want to say anything before we go? We'll give him a second.
I appreciate everybody being here and taking part in this. As Thomas was saying, I think we're almost up to 700 subscribers, man. We started this like somewhere in the low 400s or something like that. And so just you guys have been, rocking it out. We appreciate that. There's probably a limited amount of time for us to be able to tell the truth left. And I think you guys are aware of that, but this is our choice. What will we choose, man? And because they're not going to allow us to choose for much longer if things keep going at this rate. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that feels that way. And I would love to be wrong. Don't think I am. And so right now we can choose to be a patriot. Not exactly sure what tomorrow will bring. And this convoy, as courageous as it is, we know how harmful this is probably going to be. And everybody get ready and brace for that, please. Everybody do what you have to do. If you have to reallocate some funds to, I don't know what it is, man, get more food in the house, get more ammo in the house, buy an extra goat, whatever it is, man, get what you can, get what you need. And if communication goes down, we're not going to be able to reach out to one another, and everything will have strict control. That's why Thomas was saying earlier that, look local, neighbors, family that lives close, and we would all be foolish to not have a plan right now. You know what I mean? Just you see what time it is. How our country lived during World War II. How they lived during World War I. There was always a plan in place. Please get a plan in place. And if we find a way to set up mass communication, you guys will be the first to know. So have a good night, have a good weekend, and take it easy.
Yeah, before we go, I want to say that if you guys have a plan, I'll probably be running and trying to find refuge in one of your guys's readouts, because I kind of spent a lot of my time fighting this fight in the capital city, and besides in supplies, I'm not very well set for a place to go. So I might have to hit one of you guys up and run and hide in your redoubt bunker or whatever it may be. So leave a spot open for me if you can. You guys have a great night. God bless you. We'll see you next Friday. If not sooner, we might do another broadcast, just depending. Things are breaking every day. So, but love you guys. And have a good one. God bless America. God bless you, patriots.